Hey everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today, this year, we're bringing back many of our top 20 and 20, top 10 and 10 lists. We didn't do any last year. 2023 was the last year we did them. So this year, not all of them, but a number of them I'm going to be bringing back, starting now with the most played games of all time based on the number of individual plays. I'll also, later, maybe in February, or actually probably later this month, do a separate one which is based off of the number of hours played. We'll see if we're right up against the end of the month, so it may not be till February. Either way, we're gonna have both of those back to back. It used to be they were separated by a few months. We're gonna do them back to back now. So the way this works is I've got a top 20 list. We're gonna do it in 20 minutes. This is the most individual plays that I've had for each of these games. I'll also tell you how many times I've played it since the last time I filmed this list. And if you ever see a tie in the list with the number of plays, the tiebreaker was the amount of time, the number of hours I've spent playing that game. So let's get the timer started right now, and here we go. So number 20 is Seven Wonders Duel with 27 plays. Only played this game once since the last time that I played. In fact, the last play was in December of 23. This is a two-player version of the classic Seven Wonders game, and it really, Seven Wonders is a card drafting game, so there was a lot of concern with how do you make a good two-player card drafting. Well, they figured it out. You have this pyramid structure of cards laid out on the table, which means the cards are overlapping, and in order to get to the row above the row you're on, you have to clear off the cards from that row. And so as you're drafting the cards that you want to take, you got to keep in mind, what am I uncovering for my opponent? Is that a card that they really need, or am I giving them exactly what they want? And then not only that, but as you get deeper into the game, there come moments where you have no choice but to uncover a card that could be a game-winning card for your opponent because you played, you didn't keep that in mind earlier in the game. That's Seven Wonders Duel, a great two-player game. Number 19, also with 27 plays, Flashpoint Fire Rescue. Got this played 12 times over the past 2 years. Last time I played it was November of this year. And this is a game where you are firemen rushing into a burning building. You're trying to rescue. You have these points of interest, which are just question marks until you flip them over, and then they're either people, sometimes pets, and sometimes they're nothing, or possibly, even depending on which version of the rules you're playing, the nothing could be explosives like home chemicals, cleaning stuff like that. That's going to ignite when the fire gets to it and cause a big problem. Flashpoint Fire Rescue is a fantastic cooperative game. Absolutely love it. There's so many levels of the rules that you can add. So you can play the family level, which is very, very simplified, makes it easy to get your kids into it, and then you can increase that up to a much more advanced version of the game. Flashpoint Fire Rescue number 19. Number 18 is Magic Maze, which I haven't played since December of 2018. 29 plays of this total, and this was a game that when I got it, I played a lot, and it just kind of burned out and ended up selling it or trading it or whatever. I think I traded it. But this is another cooperative game, but you're not allowed to talk. You can't talk during the game. Each of you has one character, which is all based off of fantasy tropes, barbarian, wizard, that sort of thing. And you're running around the mall, though. So the idea is you've finished a dungeon run, you lost your dungeon run, and now you have absolutely no equipment, nothing, no money. And so you go into the mall, and I'm pretty sure you're shoplifting from the mall and then trying to escape. You're trying to get your key weapon, but you can't talk. And each of you has the ability to go certain directions and that sort of thing. And so you're trying to convince everybody else to move people the right way to get to the exits before you get caught by security. It's a wild, crazy game, Magic Maze. Number 17, Terror in Meeple City. Actually got 0 plays of this. Last time I played it was August of 2021, but we still have it because the kids love it. I play it with the kids a lot, even now, but we don't play by the real rules, so I don't count it in these plays. This is where basically you are giant kaiju, essentially, going through the city. The city is made out of meeples, essentially. The buildings all have meeples inside of them. And the kaiju jump on the buildings explode, meeples go everywhere, and then they eat the meeples. And there's 6 different colors of meeples based off of their profession or what have you. And you are trying to eat sets of those colors to get points. And then you also have special abilities, and you have secret agendas, and like you're trying to eat a certain type of meeple the most, and so you'll get extra points. That's Terror in Meeple City. Number 16 is Root with 31 plays. Got 13 plays over the past 2 years, and that is the last time I played it though was November of 2023. Holy crap, I can't believe that's the last time I played that game. I gotta get this game back out. This game is phenomenal. It's behind me here somewhere, but this is a completely asymmetric game. Woodland factions fighting each other. Every faction has a completely different way of scoring points, completely different way of getting to the I believe it's 30 points to win the game. And you're just going against each other, pitting your strengths against other players' weaknesses and vice versa. It's the base game comes with 4 factions, but they've got so many factions out now. There's at least 3 expansions. I think there's 4 expansions plus the expansion that allows for the to turn the factions into automas, into bots, so that you can actually play it completely solo if you want to. I have played solo against 3 bots. It's a bit to wrap your head around, but once you get it, it's so much fun. That's Root. Number 15 is Thunderstone Advance. I no longer own this game. I had not played it since January of 2019. I finally ended up selling this game, but 31 plays of this. This was essentially the 2nd edition of Thunderstone. There's a 3rd edition out now called Thunderstone Quest, which I've never got my hands on. I'd love to play it. But Thunderstone Advance is it's a card drafting game where you've got every turn you either go to the village or you go to the dungeon. In the village, there's all these different cards laid out that you get to choose from and pick from. Unlike a lot of card drafting games where it's kind of a road that's constantly changing, this is everything's set out. You can go buy whatever you want as long as you've got the funds for it. And then you go to the dungeon on whichever turn you feel like you're strong enough to do that, and fight whatever monsters are there, trying to score points by fighting monsters and eventually get to the boss at the end of the deck. And number 14 is Love Letter Batman with 32 plays. Only got 2 plays of it in over the past couple of years. August of 2022 was last time I played this one. Love Letter Batman is a game in the love letter style of games. So I really wish it was called Batman a Love Letter game, because it would make people understand a little bit better what it is. It's just that love letter style of game, but now you've got all of your Batman villains in there. You've got Batman and Robin as well. And you're trying to catch the Joker instead of catch the princess. And it's one of those games where it only takes a few minutes to explain it, and then you start playing and playing and playing. And if you play with a group enough, you start to develop a meta between y'all. For instance, in one of my groups, having Poison Ivy was never safe, because that was always the first thing somebody would guess if you put Batman down, you get to guess what card somebody has, and if you're right, they're out of the game. And for whatever reason, Poison Ivy became the one everybody was guessing. And so you always had to play that card as quick as you could, because the meta for our group was she was not safe to have. Number 13, Mechs versus Minions. This, I have 0 plays since September of 2021, because after I beat the campaign, I sold it, but 33 plays total in the time that I had the game. Mechs versus Minions is a programming game set in the League of Legends universe. You are these Yordles, I think they were called, in these mechs, fighting literally 100 minions come in the game. And they're always swarming the board, and you're programming these mechs to do, whatever it is that you want them to do. And there's 10 different scenarios, I think, that have different objectives. Now, I will say, towards the end of the campaign, it started feeling like the way they made it more difficult was by adding randomness to the scenarios, which I didn't particularly care for. The earlier scenarios felt much more strategic and much more like you had control. It was if you lost, it's because you made a mistake, whereas towards the end of the campaign, it felt different. But it was a lot of fun while I was playing it. That's Mechs versus Minions. Number 12 is Friday with 34 plays. Only played it twice over the past couple of years. July 2022 was the last time I played it. And Friday is a solo only game. It was the first solo only game I owned, and you are Friday trying to help Robinson Crusoe, who is, landed on the island, crashed on the island, and he's an absolute idiot when you begin the game. And as you go through, you're kind of honing his deck and helping to get, when you defeat a challenge, you flip the card over, and now that challenge is a card in your deck. And so as you're going through, your deck's getting more powerful, you're weeding out the cards you don't want anymore, and you go through 3 phases. Each phase getting harder and harder until finally you get to the pirates at the end of the game, and there's two different pirates you have to fight. They're different every game. I've only beat it a couple times, but it is a ton of fun. That's Friday. Number 11, Star Wars Imperial Assault with 35 plays. Played it 11 times over the past couple of years. My youngest really got into it. We haven't played it since September of 24, so we need to get back into it. But Star Wars Imperial Assault, to give you an idea, over the past couple of years, I finally bought expansions for it. I had never bought expansions for it. Finally bought the Hoth expansion and really, really enjoyed playing it. So now we need to get the Jabba the Hutt expansion. This is we played as cooperative with the app. You can download an app. It makes the game fully cooperative, and it's a ton of fun. You're playing through these scenarios, playing through these campaigns with non-traditional, they're not characters from the movies. It's characters made for the game. However, the characters from the movies, from the comics, and the books do show up on occasion to help you. Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, depending on what expansions you grab, you can have these extra people in there. And you also can play it 1 versus many. I really don't like playing like that. I feel like there's a runaway leader problem, and so I don't play that way. I only play the cooperative version. That's Star Wars Imperial Assault. Number 10, Pandemic Legacy. Okay, 0 plays over the last couple of years. Have not played it since August of 2018, but I did get 39 plays because I played through the campaign twice. That's how much I loved this one. Completely opposed. I did not enjoy Season 2 at all. This is Pandemic Legacy Season 1. They take the pandemic formula, they add a legacy element to it, meaning that you're making permanent changes to the game board. When an outbreak happens in a city, and the city becomes unstable. Then there's riots. Then, it keeps degrading like that. And when that happens, you put stickers on the board to indicate that this city is now unstable for the rest of the campaign. And you play, it's a 12 to 24 game campaign, depending on how many times you lose. And as you're playing through, more and more things unlock. It actually has a story moment with a big plot twist. It was a fantastic experience, Pandemic Legacy. Number 9, Sushi Go with 40 plays. Only played it 4 times over the past couple of years. Last time, though, was July of 24. Sushi Go is a card drafting game. Very, very simple card game. You have a hand of cards. You pick the one you want to play, pass it to the next person. You do like that, and you're collecting sets for points. 3 rounds, see who wins. All of the art is sushi. You have, one type of sushi. I believe it's dumplings. Actually, you're gathering. No, what was it? It doesn't matter. One type of sushi. Every one you gather is worth more points. So 2 of them are worth 2 points. 3 of them are worth 5 points, I think, and so on like that. Another one, if you get 3 of them, it's worth 20 points, but if you get 2 or 1, it's worth 0 points. Another one, if you get 2 of them, it's worth 5 points, and that sort of thing. So that's the kind of set collection you're doing. That's Sushi Go number 9. Number 8 is Forbidden Island with 13 plays over the past couple of years, 41 plays total. Last time I played this was December of 24, just a few weeks ago. And this is one that my kids love, the cousins love, like my little cousin, my sister's kids, my nieces and nephews, my kids' cousins love this game. I actually gave it to them for Christmas. And you are treasure hunters on an island running around while the island is sinking. And so it's constantly flooding. You're shoring it up. You're trying to stop it from flooding. And you are moving around trying to find these treasures. If you get the treasures, you got to get back to the helipad and fly off the island. Lots of different 6 different characters, I think, that you can play as, each with their own abilities. Lots of great stuff in Forbidden Island. A really good introduction to that pandemic style of play made by the same designer. And there's also Forbidden Desert as well, which we've just gotten into recently. Dead of Winter is number 7 with 41 plays. Played this 4 times over the past couple of years. Last time, though, actually was November of 22. So it has been a little while. Dead of Winter is one of the first games that I really got into in the board game the designer board game scene. It is a zombie survival game. And in true form, it's one of those games where the zombies are dangerous, but the people can be more dangerous. And as you're playing, there is the chance that one of the other players is a traitor. Not necessarily that they are, but there's a chance, because at the beginning of the game, you hand out secret objectives. And if I believe the way it works is, let's say you have 4 players, there's 9 secret objectives. One of them is a traitor objective, and so you pass out 1 secret objective to each person. So there's a 1 in 9 chance that first person got a traitor, 1 in 8 for the next, 1 in 7 for the next, and 1 in 6 that I got a traitor, and then we kind of see what happens. So crazy experiences with Dead of Winter, lots of fun. Number 6 is Gloom Haven with 53 plays, played it 26 times over the past couple of years. This last time though was December 22, so no plays at all in 23, and you'll see why in a minute. Gloom Haven though is somewhere up here, a cooperative. It seems like a dungeon crawl. It's much more of a strategic hand management game. The card play in this game is very mind-bending, very intense, and it is not a game where you're going to be getting every single piece of treasure you see. You're absolutely going to have to pay attention to what you're playing, when you're playing it, how many cards you're burning permanently for the scenario. Your cards are in a lot of ways are your stamina, because once your cards run out, you're done. You also have to keep track of health. You're leveling up. Characters retire and never come back, and you unlock new classes. It's a whole thing, a huge experience. Gloom Haven, number 6. Number 5 is Pandemic, the regular version with 58 plays. Only played it 3 times over the past couple years. August 2022 was the last time I played it. Pandemic is the first game that my wife really fell in love with. We played it on our honeymoon. It is a 4 different diseases are rampaging across the world. You're trying to stop them. You have different characters that have different abilities. One person might be a containment specialist or a quarantine specialist. One person is a researcher. One person is a scientist, etc., etc. They all have different abilities that work together, and you're trying to find the 4 cures. If you can also eradicate some of the diseases, great. It makes your life a lot easier. But finding the 4 cures for the 4 diseases is the priority. That's Pandemic. Number 4 is Splendor with 59 plays. 5 of those plays over the last couple of years. June of 24, last time we played this one, so relatively recently. Splendor is a engine building game, and in some ways a set collection game as well. But you've got 3 different tiers of cards that provide different gems, and as you collect the gems, then you are generating more gems every turn, which then allows you to buy the higher tier cards, which then are going to start giving you more points. First person to 15 prestige points wins. As you collect those gems, you're eventually going to attract nobles to come to your city or whatever, to your player area, and when the nobles show up, they give you more points as well, and it can really help boost you to that 15-point prestige point winning condition. So that is Splendor with number 4. Number 3 is Madara with 70 plays, 53 in the past couple of years. Last time I played it was April of 24. This is why Gloom Haven fell off the map for me, because my game group, most of those Gloom Haven plays were solo. My game group finally got into this campaign of Madara, and we went through it. It took us about 1.5 years to complete it. 53 plays. And Madara was tons and tons of fun for me for the first 3 quarters of the campaign. Towards the end of it, I had really burned out of it. It was starting to get, there was just so much that you had to keep track of just for one character, and we were playing 4 characters among 3 of us. Now, I will say, the 2 other people in my game group loved it to the end. They loved every minute of this game. There's so much customization for your characters, so many different weapons you can get a hold of, so many different enemies, tons of stuff to keep track of. If that's something that appeals to you, and it appeals to me too, but if that's something that appeals to you, you might really love this, because like I said, 2 out of 3 of us loved it. I loved it for the first 75% of it, and then it just burned out towards the end. That's Madara. Star Realms, number 2, 75 plays of Star Realms, only 3 over the past couple of years. Last play was November of 2023. Star Realms is a deck building game where, like I was talking about earlier, where you have that row of cards in the center of the table and you're buying from that row, and as the row gets bought, more cards fill it out. 2-player only, and maybe some of the expansions change that. I know one of the expansions makes it solo capable, and you're fighting each other for having for the most authority within the universe. Basically, it's you're out with these 4 different space factions, pitting them against each other. You start with 50 authority each, and as your authority gets whittled away, once one person gets to 0 authority, the other person wins the game. Pretty straightforward, really fun game, really cool artwork. Really like the artwork in this one. That's Star Realms. And finally, at number 1. Kingdom Death Monster. This bad boy right here, don't know if you can see it on the camera. 106 plays, only 13 plays over the past couple of years. Last play was March of 2024. I am basically holding off now until we get done with Frosthaven. I think that probably will be the next campaign game we play, me and my group. I might try to pull out and start playing it solo again, but I really am just excited now for the possibility of a 4-player campaign game. We finally got a group up to 4 players. Dark, desolate world. You wake up with when you wake up, there's this white lion that is ripping apart the people around you. You can't even speak. You don't have language yet. And after you defeat the white lion, then you start to learn language. Then you start to build up this settlement with this very rudimentary skills, what I'm trying to say, technology tree, and you make weapons out of the bones of the fallen white lion and the fallen screaming antelope and then the fallen phoenix as you go and fight these different monsters. But they are also killing you all the time. You cannot get tied to a specific character. Instead, you have to get tied to your settlement. You got to make sure the settlement survives, because your characters are not going to survive. Even if they never die, eventually they're going to age to the point where they retire and then you can't play them anymore. It's such a phenomenal, amazing experience. It's continuously supported. The Gambler's Chest expansion came out this past year, last year, and I've been making a how to play series on that. They're constantly putting out new, not constantly, but they are constantly in the pipeline, have new expansions coming, and it's just the amount of support and continuous building of the world of Kingdom Death from the designer is phenomenal. Absolutely one of my favorite games of all time. It always goes back and forth between that and Gloom Haven, but I really feel like Kingdom Death Monster has kind of solidified itself at this point. That's Kingdom Death Monster, my number 1 most played game of all time. Thank you all so much for watching. Some other quick stats real quick. Total games that I've played, and this is as of the end of December. 380 games is how many I've played over my lifetime since I started keeping track in 2014. And we're looking at 2,723 total plays, roughly 2,519 hours of play. And I have an H-index of 24. I'm very close to 25 on the H-index, by the way, for those of you that don't know, means that I've played at least 24 games 24 different times. So the higher the H-index goes, the harder it is to get to the next level of H-index, which is a kind of a fun little challenge. Thank you all so much for watching. Very excited to be bringing back these Tops videos this year. Like I said, I'll probably film one more of these before I get back to my regular. I've got lots of how to play videos to film, lots of stuff that have come in from publishers, so I got to get back to those. We'll do hours played next, though. Very excited to see how that stacks up to this list. And until next time, if you're bored online or offline.